Hello, everyone. My name is Freddie Shaben. This is the Madam Suzanne channel, and I thank you so much for being here and watching another episode of Madam Suzanne, the mastermind behind the Orange County brothels. So today I want to talk to you about a week in the life of an escort agent. So this is what a week looked like when I was an escort agent in Orange County, California. Monday through Friday, I woke up around 5 or 5:30. I was in the gym by 6, worked out, and while I was doing my hour cardio every day, I would answer emails and look at the schedule on the calendar, see what we have going on. And this way I just started the workday because I had so much to do and I was only one person. So I had to make sure I utilized my time very wisely. And that was the only way I was going to be able to get everything that I needed. Around 8 o'clock or so, 7:30, 8 o'clock, I'd be out of the gym, grab some breakfast real quick, go home, shower, get into my home office. Now I was ready to tackle today's work, right? So the first thing I did is I turned on all my computers, my laptop, all my I had 3 screens, and I put up everything that I needed. You know, the websites of the escorts I was working with that day. I put my calendar up, which I had all the calendars routed into one, so I can make appointments, delete appointments, schedule for every escort I was working with that day, and any other day if they came in for some other days, right? And I'll put up the website of OC Fund, which was my agency website. And this way I was able to control the traffic that's coming in. I wanted not control, but actually see what's going in, what's going out of the website, right? My analytics and everything like that on the back end. And I also wanted to make sure I had the right escorts working for that day, because I made sure that I had on the front of the page, I would have the escorts working for that day. This way, everybody knew that these other girls are working that day. So when you want to make an appointment, you just go on the website, at a glance, look and see who's available. And most of the time I had the calendar up there. They couldn't really see everything, but they knew which, it was kind of live calendar, if you will, and they could see what appointments were available for that day for which escort. So it made it easier for them to finagle their schedule so they can get away and come in, do their thing and leave, right? Because they're all working usually from 11 to 7, like that was our hours. So, and then I would just make appointments, put them on the calendar, make sure all the escorts were awake. I would give them a wake-up call around, because they had to be in the places around 10:30. Well, we started with, like I said, I started with 4, went to 5, 6, 7 at the end. I think around 2015 or so, mid 2015, I ended up with 12 locations. So with 12 locations, I had to make sure that everybody was awake, right? Some of them were already awake because I knew they went to school and came straight from school to work. So I did not bother with them because I knew they were already on a morning schedule. Some of them were they weren't morning people, so I would give them a call and just make sure that they're awake. This way we don't miss any appointments. That was very important. And then I would just talk to clients over text, call if any new clients called or texted. Of course, I made sure that all the ads were active by 9 o'clock. By active meaning that they all started becoming aware of the instant gratification. So they had available buttons that you had to click actually to let the visitor of that website know, like for example, Eros or City Vibe or Backpage or whatever. Well, Backpage worked a little differently, but for websites like Eros and City Vibe, you had to click the button that says available. This way that the visitor would know that that person is available now, because those available signs, if you will, were only good for about 2 hours. So every 2 hours times 12, I had to make sure I clicked that button. I started at 9 o'clock in the morning. I didn't want to start too early, but then I wanted to start at a decent hour. This way, I could always see if I can pick up 1 or 2 or 3 new clients every day. Even though I had enough clients, but you never have enough, right? So I always made sure that I was constantly booking, constantly screening, constantly making sure that we have enough clientele for everybody. And then this way I could really be more selective, right? When you have enough clients, now you can be more selective. So I wanted just the VIP clients and the best of the best. The professional, over 40, worked in the area, very nice, generous, respectful, and stuff like that. So come about 10:30, 10:45, I made sure that everybody was in their respective locations that they were assigned for that day. And they would send me, and everything was done through texting because I just had too many things going on for me to have to talk to everybody, because I can only talk with one person at a time, but I can text a few phones at the same time. And any given day, I would have anywhere from 20 to 22 phones in front of me, because there was a phone dedicated for every escort that was working with me that day. So that's 12 phones. I had one phone that was for the agency, for the OC fund, which was for returning clientele. I always suggested to them that they use that phone once they become a client and they know what's going on. This way, I knew how to separate the traffic from the new client versus the existing client. However, as we all know about people, they don't always do what you say. And a lot of these guys, I understood, they didn't want to save any type of phones on their phone, because a lot of them did not have a throwaway phone, even though I advised them, please get a throwaway phone after they became a client, because I didn't want them to get busted. Plus, it was safer for everybody, and I didn't want them to get busted by their wife, a significant other. So I would advise them to get a separate phone. But still, they wouldn't, or even if they did, they would still go. That's why it was very important for me to continue putting the ads out there for those particular girls for that one day, right? Of course, they were all by the month, so I had to buy ads for everybody. And that's 65 to 70 people, but also on Backpage for that day, because Backpage is about postings for that day, right? So I would just put ads for all the escorts that I was working with that day on Backpage. And of course, every 20 or so, once the posting came down 20 spots, I would have to put them back on top of the list again. So that's every time it was $12, $12, $12. Then they brought it down when they were starting to have issues, and it was all Bitcoin. It was just another mess, but that's a different subject. Anyway, so I just had to make sure everybody was live, everybody was in their place, everybody was ready to go, and I already texted each person. I usually do it one at a time and text them the information of each client, the ones that I had on the calendar as they booked, right? So let's say Nikki was in apartment number 1. She would get and let's say Natty was seeing her as client number 1 at 11 o'clock. I would send her all the client information. He's 70, he's nice. And of course, once they know the clients, they don't even really have to read them, except if there's a notes on there, special notes, I would let them know, well, he asked for this or he asked for that. And we communicated about this, because remember, I'm the one who was doing all the communication with all the clients via texting or emails. So I had to make sure that I communicated everything that transpired between me and the client to the escort, the prospective escort. So I was involved in every single transaction, and we average about 100 transactions a day. Average, 12 people times, anywhere from 6, 7, or 8, sometimes 9 clients each. So you do the math. I average about 100 a day. And I was involved with every single transaction, going back and forth in between the client and the escort. So everything I told the client, I had to let the escort know, because I was speaking for the escorts. And even when we had return clientele, then they knew they were talking to Madam Suzanne. And in that case, they would tell me what they wanted, and they knew that I was going to let the escort know that they see in the information that they wanted, right? So that went on daily like I said, from about 8 a.m. And we started winding down around 5 o'clock or so because the clients had till around 6 o'clock to book for that last appointment. But usually all the appointments were booked by around 4 o'clock. So really, I had to really rock and roll and really tighten up between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m., right? For those 8 hours, I could not even, excuse my French, sometimes go to the restroom. I would have to hold it for 3-4 hours because I was so busy. Sometimes I wouldn't even eat after breakfast till 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Sometimes I wouldn't even eat, right? So, and of course, I couldn't have anybody around me in the house. So, if the housekeeper came Monday to Friday, I would make sure that they came and did all the rooms except for, and I told them, do not disturb me when I'm working. And this way, I didn't want anybody to get a whiff or a hint of what I was doing, right? Because of course it was illegal. So I had to always be aware and careful of all these things. So everybody was booked up, and the communication went back and forth with every escort times 12. I had 12 escorts working, 12 clients at a time. And we went from 11 a.m., first appointment, all the way to around 7 p.m., even though it winded down, like I said, around 5 o'clock. Everything was booked up, everything, whatever. And then if somebody was coming late, if the escort was still available, which most of the time she wasn't, then I would just suggest them that, they book for another day. Or sometimes I would ask the escort if she wants to stay late, which really barely ever happened because I did not want to overwhelm the escort and I did not want to overwork him. That was very important. I didn't want to burn him out. And then after 6 o'clock or so, when everything was done, made sure that everybody was, cleaning up after themselves. We had a checkout procedure with every escort in every place. And basically they had to collect all the trash, make sure the place looked nice like they had it in the morning. All the towels and sheets were put in the washer and started the washer, and used to clean up after themselves and turn everything off as far as candles, TV, music, lights, everything. And we had a predetermined spot every day. It was different, to where they were going to keep half the proceeds, which was my fee, in a hidden spot in the apartment. And we always changed it every day. So this way, I don't want anybody getting any ideas. And then they would leave, and I would, they all had electronic locks. So I was able to control the lock mechanism on the front door of the apartments once they left. And I would lock the doors just in case. I don't want anybody to come back. Somebody that maybe used to work with us or whatever, somebody had an idea to come in and steal the money before I got there. And so we did that, and I would just take a shower and get in the car. And if I had to meet somebody face to face, one of the escorts for that day, whether it was her first day, I always made sure I met them face to face with every single person that worked as a new person. I always made sure to go there on their first day on the job. This way I was able to look at them in the eye and see if everything is okay. Did they like the job? How do they feel emotionally, mentally, psychologically, and physically? Wanted to make sure that they were a good fit for this job, because as we all know, not everybody can do this job, and not everybody should do this job. And if that was the case, I would ask them to wait for me. And they would, and I would have a conversation with them when I get there. How do you like it? Did everything coincide with what I told you when I hired you? Was everybody nice? Did anybody do anything, outside of the script? And then we'll have a discussion. And then I would go from apartment to apartment and pick up the cash and just check out, quick spot check of the apartment to make sure that all the chores were done, as far as cleaning and trash collecting and starting the laundry and picking up after themselves and keeping it nice and clean. That was very, very important. I'm a clean and neat person, so I always wanted to make sure that's reflective on our operation, and it was part of the excellence in customer service. So I wanted to make sure that was all the apartments were ready for the next day. And I would usually that was part of my job, as I'm going around, I would take the stuff out of the washer and throw them in the dryer and start the dryer. because the morning person needed the towels and sheets for their workday. And then I would either go home if I had nothing else scheduled, or I would meet new people that I was hiring at that time, which I was always hiring at least 1, 2, or 3 people, 3 escorts every week to continue it was like a cycle, right? It was a system. So as people were on their way out, when they get to their goals, I was always hiring someone to take their place. So I always had to have recruitment selection in place, and that was always going on in the background. It never stopped the whole 5 years that I did this in Orange County. So if I had somebody that I wanted to meet during the week so I can hire them for the week following, I would have meetings. It could have been Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever the situation is, whatever was good for them, good for my schedule. And those usually happened after I went and checked out all the apartments and got the money. Sometimes if things didn't work out schedule-wise, I would do that first if I didn't have to meet any of my escorts for that night. So instead of going to the apartments right away, I would go to the meetings. Let's say they can only meet at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, whatever. I would go meet them usually at Starbucks on Michelson and Jamboree. And that was my office away from home. And I would go through the whole face-to-face final interview to get the job or not. And 90% of the time, I was pretty confident that they did get the job, right? And that's when all the questions were asked, the expectations were put on the table, both sides, from me, from them, and answer any questions they had, and then set up or schedule the photo and video shoot for that Saturday. So I did this Monday through Friday, and then on Saturday, what I would do is I would do the photo and video shoots for 1, 2, or 3 escorts that I hired to start the following week, because I would have had 1 or 2 or 3 vacancies from the escorts that were either finished by meeting their financial goal, or some of them that were let go for one reason or another, or some of them that left on their own for one reason or another. And I would hire the new escorts during the week, and I will make an appointment for that Saturday, and we'll meet at the Starbucks, and they'll follow me. I'll talk to them for a little bit, and they'll follow me. And we would have already discussed what outfits to bring, usually 3 or 4 outfits, different outfits to change into. And we had discussed what's going to happen with the photo shoot, what happened with the video shoot, because I would have showed them during the final interview actual real live sample of what I'm looking for in their content for their listings. And we did that on Saturdays. Usually I would start like around 9 o'clock in the morning or so. And depending how many I had to shoot, usually it averaged about an hour and a half to 2 hours per shoot. So I would usually be done around, if let's say I have 2 of them, start at 9, it would be done by 1. If I had 3 of them, start 9, end up at 3. Then I went home and took the night off. At the time, of course, I was in a relationship with somebody that had a kid. So that was our night to go out for dinner and ice cream and all this stuff, right? Sunday was, I would wake up early, very early Sunday morning. And I would, now I had to do the web design for every escort that I hired, because everybody had to have their own website. Web design, get them their own phone number, which I always change phone numbers. I never use the same number twice for 2 girls, because people Google and they see that, this is the same number, and then now they're going to know that it's an agency, and I didn't want to do that. So there was a dedicated phone number to every girl. Of course, I did the email address, registered email address for every girl, and I kept everything the same, uniform for every girl. So like if somebody was Sexy Roxy, so their email address would be sexyroxy@gmail.com, and we'll get them the phone number, and the website will be sexyroxy.com, and so far and so forth. And I discuss all this in both books, really. Madam Suzanne, my first book, and my second book, which is How I Made $1 Million a Year as an Upscale Escort, which is really A to Z of what I did in the business as far as business plan and operations, etc. So I did that on Sunday. That took me from usually 3 depending on how many I had. So if it's just one, I'll be done by 6. If it's 2 or 3, I'll be done in 9 or 12. And then the rest of the Sunday, and I would put everything online, getting ready, the advertising, everything, getting ready for if they're going to start on Monday. Want to make sure everything is live on Monday so they can start. The new person would start on Monday if they're on schedule, right? So everything was, I'm always thinking about the next day, 2 or 3 days, actually a week in advance, sometimes 2 weeks in advance. So you have to do that in that business, especially when you're one person doing all these different jobs. And Sunday evening or Sunday afternoon, I would go with the family to, a movie, if they want to go bowling, if they want to take a little, boat ride, whatever it is that we had planned. So that was our family day. So you could see that I worked most of the time. I would say out of 168 hours a week, I would maybe work at least, I would say, honestly, 100 hours. That was my average. And that went on from 2012 all the way to January 31st, 2017, when I was ready to pull the plug. I had pulled the plug June 9th, 2016, but then I came back to help some other people and some escorts, and then I got in trouble January 31st, 2017. So as you can see, is a jam-packed schedule that I had for myself. I had a 5-year goal or an X amount of dollars monetary wise, and I reached my goals. However, it doesn't really matter if the real outcome was that I ended up losing everything. So what did I learn? I learned that you have to have balance in life. I learned that crime doesn't pay. So that's really the lesson to be learned here, okay? So that's about it. Okay. Have a great day. Stay healthy, stay safe, stay happy. And if you have not found your happiness, please do so. It's within you. Just keep searching and keep and be truthful to yourself and be honest to yourself, and you will find it. If you like this video, please click the like button. If you want notification, hit the bell so you can get notified every time I have a video. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. And I'm trying to get to the 1,000 subscribers so we can start doing other things with the channel. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Have a great day. And I look forward to seeing you in my live streaming at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Wednesday. And I'll see you in my next video. Ciao.